And we're doing things.
The king died. It was sad. The adventure continues. No. Yeah, originally this episode would have been like 25 minutes long. And then I cut out all the random battles and suddenly it was only like 7.5 minutes long.
I noticed that it's 14 minutes long.
Yeah, I had to like pull apart a bit of the next episode and put it in this. It's one of these dungeons.
Great, I love wandering around in the dark. It's so fun.
Yeah, speaking of me and navigating spaces. I mean, I guess I shouldn't be too terribly concerned about taking damage, but still.
Is that a Zippo?
Yep. Well, it's Wild West setting. Of course it's a Zippo. No. God, this shit is the worst. I'm glad they stopped doing this sort of thing in video games. Because, like, really. I want to say this is almost the definition of padding. I should have just fucking walked through this shit altogether, ignoring the damage I take.
Magic carrot.
Carrots to restore your magic points.
Turn off that light!
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was kind of coincidental that I got into a random battle right after that. Nobody's gonna get that reference either. And then I went all the way back to the beginning of the dungeon because I'm an idiot.
Way to go, Alex.
I think at this point I was starting to get a little annoyed with the sheer number of random battles.
I can understand why. The encounter rate here looks absolutely freaking nightmarish.
And then I guess I stopped to check my inventory too.
For whatever reason.
I think I got something in that fight and I just don't remember what it was at this point. Game, leave me alone.
This must be the point at which you were like, oh my fuck.
I was pretty tired of it by this point. Like, I don't mind random encounters, but like, space them properly. And then I trip right into the poison and whatever. I think that was one of the things I actually liked about Legend. Well, I liked all of Legend of Dragoon, but it actually gave you an indication of when the next fucking random fight was coming. You would have a little arrow over your head that would go from blue to yellow to red.
Is that meant to give you a way to avoid said random encounter, or just...
It's just letting you know.
Just letting you know.
It's like, get ready, here it comes, you ready?
It's kind of what I like about the Tales games. The enemies are always visible on screen.
Well, I think they started that with Symphonia, actually. Prior to that, it was like, well, it's random just like everything else. Every other game at the time.
Well, the more recent Tales games, anyway, have all the enemies visible on the world map. So they're not random encounters, really.
I mean, they still spawn randomly, but
Yeah,
you're not obligated to fight them.
and the monsters in the dungeons, obviously, are also not random encounters as such, but there are still places in that game where the encounter rate, just by virtue of the amount of enemies that are in your fucking way, is stupid.
And then the wind blew. Jack's having a thought. Jack fucking learned how to harness the power of the wind, I guess. Yeah, that's how Jack learns new moves. Well, not randomly occurring gusts of wind, but you will get a hint, and then it will show up in his magic list, and you have to use it until the move actually gets pulled off, and then you can use it all the time. So, a random number generator on top of the random battles, and... so obviously that's a good idea.
Wow, this game kind of sucks.
Well, it's a great game, but, you know, some of those bits were not terribly thought out.
You mean not terribly well thought out?
No, just not terribly thought out.
No, I would say they were terribly thought out.
Yeah, I could go either way, really. I was thinking they just didn't really put much thought into it. Like, putting fucking candles in dungeons and... God...
I mean, this kind of makes sense. You're in a goddamn cave, so there's not a whole abundance of natural light inside a cave.
Still. Those candles have some awfully far reach.
They do.
And then I was like, whatever, I'll ignore that one, it'll be fine.
Bites you in the ass about now?
And then it was just... Unfortunately, there was another candle right there. You thought you could hide treasure chests, but I knew you were there. Yeah, that's also why dashing is a fucking waste of time.
Because your character just stumbles like a putz.
Yep, on those little tiny rocks that I'm sure you can see.
Mm-hmm.
So like I said, some of the stuff in this not terribly thought out at all. They just decided to do it. Here's the world map, finally.
Well, that took a while.
There is some rumors of demons showing up, but I don't believe that. Whole party just kind of gives them this 1,000-yard stare.
Demons.
It's like, well, let me tell you a fucking story about what happened in this game, like, maybe 10 minutes ago. No.
Your llama village.
Milama. I love the music in this game, though. Well, some of it.
So what are we doing in Llama Village?
Going to the pub. We're gonna get drunk.
That sounds like a fantastic idea.
There's no alcohol in this? No, that's impossible.
It's a JRPG localized for the United States in the mid-90s. I guarantee you there's no fucking alcohol in this.
Dude, fucking get out of my way. No, seriously, dude, fucking move. Why? Why do you do this?
Huh.
Jesus. The hardest dungeon yet, right here.
God.
Yes. I didn't think anybody knew about the gods that we used to believe in. Yeah, I could go for fucking 5 hamburgers.
Cecilia's like, well, that's for me. I don't know what these guys want.
Then she got seconds. I wonder what this was in the Japanese version. I wonder if it was still hamburgers. Or it was like the Phoenix Wright thing where it was definitely not hamburgers.
Who knows?
Eat your hamburgers, Apollo.
This sounds like an irritating puzzle.
Yeah, write this down, Alex. I didn't.
Smooth move.
Another thing about wandering into a town is that all the items hidden in a town are in barrels with no indication of what fucking barrel you can interact with and which one you can't.
Oh, what fun.
So you have to search every barrel.
Did you cut some of that out? Or
Yeah.
have you just not done it at all?
Every time I walk into a town, spoilers about how I edit these videos, every time I walk into a town, I will save and... Well, actually, usually I'll walk into the town and in the loading point, I'll cut out the video. And then leave town and walk back into town and just cut from that point.
2, 10, 6, and 12.
Like a clock. Except this is a hell of a lot fucking different than looking at a clock just because of the perspective.
Not really, if you're good at visualizing a clock face.
Spoilers, I'm not. I'm terrible at visualizing a lot of things. And by a lot of things, I mean basically whatever I'm trying to think about at that given moment. It's kind of a pain in the ass when you're like trying to remember somebody that you've seen before.
Damn, look at all these magic carrots. Need to find a magic pony to feed them to. I'm sure Cecilia would like that. I mean, she's a princess.
And a bunch of apples, too. But yeah, like, right now, I'm not focusing on it, but in my head I'm picturing Ragnar the Blood Edge, and then as soon as I think about, like, focusing on his face, it just fucking disappears. So I literally just can't actively imagine something.
Your imagination is screwed up.
Just a bit. It's actually really irritating.
So what was that item you picked up there? Crest graph?
That's how you make spells.
Ah.
Which I don't ever actually do on screen.
What kind of LP is this not showing off the game mechanics?
Because all you do is like, hey, here's a little grid that you can pick off of, and here's what the spell actually is, and, you know, hit X twice to confirm, and here you go, you got a new spell. It's not very exciting.
A strange device, you say?
So start lighting fucking candles.
Oh, well, this looks like it's gonna be obnoxious.
I don't know why I remembered this puzzle. I was probably actually just guessing.
Good guess, if so.
Well, there were not really a lot of choices.
What's going on?
Next time on Radical Bromance, following princesses into beers.